Leo, welcome to your monthly horoscope for April 2026. My name's Adina. I'm an intuitive astrologer. Leo, this is a really big month. This month activates your ninth house, your 10th house, and your eighth house. This is a month where you may be making big decisions about where your life is going and what future you are building. There may be important conversations, opportunities, or realizations that push you into a new direction. Now, before we get into it, don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you enjoy my content and align with my energy. Let's get into it. So I do break these horoscopes down by week and I select a chart for each week to give you a visual. So as soon as we come into the month on the 1st, we have the full moon in Libra. This is lighting up your third house. And the third house governs communication, contracts, writing, social media, learning, teaching, siblings, your mindset, self expression, anything that is associated with reading, speaking, writing. Also, vehicles is in the third house, your community, your neighbors and neighborhood. So, when we're talking about the third house, there's quite a lot packed in there. Full moons are a culmination period, realization, something's completing. This is when you can be signing contracts or finishing a course. This is where you could be launching something. You could receive some really important news or have really important conversations. You may be buying a car at this time or making travel plans. You could be doing a lot of decision making or writing or publishing something. Libra is about balance. So, this full moon is about making decisions that are aligned with your future and the future you are trying to build. This is a time to have important conversations, sign contracts, make decisions, finish your projects, speak your truth. And this is a time to launch something. This full moon is about decisions and communication. Now, if you want to take a deeper dive into this full moon energy, I do have a separate forecast on my channel. You can check that out. I get into the chart for the full moon and also all 12 rising signs. Now, on April 3rd, we have Mercury trine Jupiter. This is the final trine between Mercury in Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer because of the Mercury retrograde. The first time Mercury formed a trine to Jupiter was back in February. Then we had the Mercury retrograde and Mercury connected to Jupiter again through the retrograde phase. And now Mercury is post shadow connecting to Jupiter again. So this is really big for financial support, loans, investments, grants, solutions for debt, therapy breakthroughs, emotional healing, spiritual insight. But this is something that you've been sitting with or navigating for a couple of months now. You are finally gaining clarity and developing an understanding with something. There's finally forward movement with something that you've been sitting with for a couple months. Now, on that same day, we have Venus square Pluto. And this is happening between your 10th house and your 7th house. You have Pluto in your 7th house of relationships and Venus in your 10th house of career and public reputation. So this can bring relationship tension. This can bring power struggles, career versus relationship tension, or feeling pressure within your career, feeling pressure within your relationship. This can bring jealousy, control issues. This is transformation in relationships. Venus is also the ruler of that 10th house, so there could be something really powerful. There could be tension or something really challenging happening at your work or within your career at this time that you're having to address. Sometimes with Pluto energy, it can be quite intense, but sometimes there's transformation at the end of that kind of breakthrough. This is a time where you want to avoid power struggles. Make sure you're setting your boundaries, be honest, and make empowered decisions at this time. Now, on April 5th, we have the Sun square Jupiter. So the sun is in Aries here in your ninth house, squaring Jupiter in your 12th house. This can feel like wanting to expand, wanting to travel, wanting to grow, wanting to do something new, but also feeling tired, feeling like you need rest, and feeling like you need to finish something before starting something new. Sometimes with the sun square Jupiter, we can get in over our head. We can overcommit to something or feel overwhelmed in some way. So, if you are feeling overwhelmed, again, that ninth house has to do with higher education, higher knowledge, traveling, your belief systems, religious beliefs. And so it could have something to do with the bigger picture and big picture moves and maybe feeling overwhelmed at this time. So don't feel like you have to move forward or make a decision now. Sit with it, rest. This is definitely a good time to rest and not to rush. And then on April 6th, we have Venus sextile the North Node and trine the South Node. So Venus is in your 10th house of career, public reputation, forming a trine here to your South Node in your second house of money, finances, and material possessions and your personal values, and sextile the North Node in your 8th house of shared resources, intimacy, and even psychological healing and transformation. And so this could have to do with whatever the nodes have activated for you in these areas of life over the last year. But this can also have to do with an opportunity coming in and ways to make money, like money coming in from outside resources of someone, like maybe getting a loan, maybe getting a raise. This could be really nice financial opportunities, actually. This could be making decisions that have to do with your career because Venus is also the ruler of your career in the house of career. So there could be some very fated, very karmic paths coming in for you that have to do with career and making more money. And then we get to the second week of April. And on the 9th, we finally have Mercury leaving shadow. So we are finally done with the Mercury retrograde that we've been in for a couple of months. This is when things finally start to make sense. Anything we've been sitting with over the last couple of months, we finally gain clarity, understanding. And again, this can have to do with your partner's finances, shared resources, loans, debt, taxes, inheritance, and also intimacy. And psychological healing and transformation is also in that 8th house too. So, however, whatever Mercury retrograde has stirred up for you in this area of life, now you're finally developing an understanding and clarity, and there's forward movement, and you're finally making decisions with something. And then we also have Mars entering Aries in your 9th house. And Mars in the 9th house can activate travel, can activate going back to school or publishing social media. Mars in the 8th house can also activate legal matters, big life decisions, expansion in some way, something that has to do with maybe your belief systems. This could be you like taking chances as well, like really taking a chance on like something new and going big. On the 13th, Mars is going to form a conjunction to Neptune, and this is where things can get a little bit murky. Neptune can bring in confusion and blur boundaries. So this is a day too to just be a little bit careful. It's almost like too, you could have all this motivation to move forward with something, but then all of a sudden you get really confused and unsure about that direction. So don't make any big decisions at this time. Just sit with the energy. Around the 13th, if you're feeling confused. And then on the 14th, Mercury is going to enter Aries, bringing more energy and focus into that 9th house. So, Leo, you're really thinking big this month. That 9th house is all about the bigger picture. Big dreams, your purpose, and also travel and learning, gaining wisdom, higher knowledge, philosophy, and your belief systems. And so those themes and topics are all front and center this month. And then we get to week 3, and on the 16th, we have the Sun conjunct Chiron in your 9th house. Now, when we have the sun form a conjunction to Chiron, this is where we can be triggered around deep wounds, deep vulnerabilities. Something can come up that's very triggering for you, Leo. This could have to do with religious beliefs or your belief systems. This could have to do with fear of failure, fear of taking a risk, or fear of being seen. There may even be fear of leaving your comfort zone in some way. However, this is healing your belief systems so that you can grow. So if there is anything showing up around your beliefs or past beliefs or maybe limiting beliefs, there could be something really healing at this time. And then also on the 16th, we have Mercury conjunct Neptune. So, Mercury ruling our mind and our mindset communication. Mercury also rules your second house of money and finances. So, there could be something a little bit confusing. Mercury also rules your 11th house of friendships and social circles. So, those are the areas of life where, on the 16th, there could be confusion, deception, something could be going on that you're unclear about. There's a lack of understanding. I would also not make any big financial moves on this day because there would be something that you're not seeing clearly. With that Neptune, we want to remember Neptune blurs boundaries. So, where yes, it can be very spiritual, it could be very creative and all of that, but we do have to make sure we're seeing things clearly. And then on the 17th, we have the new moon in Aries. And this is a great time to set intentions around those ninth house themes and topics. This is a good time to set intentions around travel and teaching, publishing, maybe even social media, education, starting something new, big life decisions, a new path forward, big goals, what direction do you want to move in? This is the time to set those intentions. And then on the 19th, we start Taurus season. The sun moves into Taurus. So the sun's going to enter your 10th house of career and public reputation. And we also have Mars forming a conjunction to Saturn. And this is both malefic planets coming together. So I would not recommend traveling at this time. Just to be safe, not that like 100% something would happen, but it's just both malefic planets in the ninth house. So I just don't really recommend traveling at this time. We want to remember that Mars, yes, brings motivation, willpower, drive, but Mars is also anger, aggression, conflict. Mars is um, severs and separates. And so when Mars and Saturn come together in the ninth house, there can definitely be something around travel because even the ninth house is opposite the third house, like vehicles and stuff. But Saturn rules responsibility, commitments, discipline. So there could be a lot of long-term planning going on at this time, or there could be a lot of conflict, a lot of challenge, and a lot of limitation at this time. So it is a time period to just be a bit cautious of. And then on the 20th, we have Mercury forming a conjunction to Mars. And this is where we just want to watch our communication. This is where we can have, fights, conflict. We want to remember it can always go one of two ways. We could feel super motivated, super driven, or really irritable and really impatient. So it all depends on your personal relationship with Mars. So the 20th is a day to be cautious. You could feel super motivated. You could want to make decisions and start, moving forward in this area of life. Or you could be, really irritable, not a lot of patience, feel really kind of overwhelmed, really bogged down. And so this is definitely a time to just be aware and cautious. Then we get to the fourth week of April. And on the 23rd, we have Venus forming a conjunction to Uranus. And this is before Uranus enters Gemini. So this is still going to be in your 10th house of career and public reputation. And so this can bring in unexpected career opportunities or sudden recognition. This can also bring in a sudden change within your career or public attention. This is when you do want to expect the unexpected around your career. However, I will just say, and I'm not saying this to scare you, but Venus rules your third house of vehicles. And so just not that it can be an accident, but I have known for, when Uranus is connected to the third house of some way, even in the ninth, it doesn't necessarily mean a vehicle, although it can mean an accident, even getting pulled over or, accidentally going through a stop sign, like something like that, like while you're driving, or you just want to be cautious the entire day when there is Uranus activations because Uranus is accidents. And I don't want you to walk around fearful. Absolutely not. But just be aware and cautious. And then on the 23rd or 24th, we have Venus entering Gemini. And I have 23rd, 24th because literally my location, Venus is entering Gemini at midnight. So depending on where you're at in the world, it'll either be the 23rd or the 24th. And so when Venus enters Gemini, this is bringing more focus to your 11th house. So you could be spending more time with friends, spending more time or bringing in new opportunities around friendships and social circles and social media networking, community, collaborations, your audience. If you're online, this is a great time for growing your audience and networking. And then on the 25th, Uranus enters Gemini. And this is a really big shift because Uranus is an outer planet. So this is not a change that is going to happen overnight. This is change that is going to happen gradually. I will be creating and posting a separate forecast going into Uranus and Gemini energies and what that can look like for the collective, for the world, and for us individually. But just know that Uranus is the great awakener. Uranus rules innovation, enlightenment. And so Uranus is going to change your friends and your social circles and who you are connected with and your hopes and your dreams and your aspirations over the next 8 years. Now, also on the 25th, we have the Sun square Pluto. So the Sun is going to be in your 10th house for squaring Pluto in your seventh. So the Sun is literally your chart ruler. And so, yes, this can bring in tension and power struggles and power and control dynamics within the career. But this could also be something that you are having to navigate. Like personally, this could be deeply personal to you, deeply transformative. And this is where there can be breakthroughs or transformation through tension or through some type of challenge. And it can have to do with career, it could have to do with relationships. So it is a day to just be a little bit cautious. On the 26th, we have Mercury squaring Jupiter. So Mercury is going to be here in your ninth house, squaring Jupiter in the 12th. This is where you may need a little bit more rest on this day. This is also where we could feel brain fog or mentally bogged down. Um, Sometimes because we want to remember that Jupiter is big energy. So when it's a square, it's like doing something too big or it's too much of something. So you may feel just mental overload at this time. So this is a time, watch for overcommitting or overpromising to do things. You could end up just kind of draining yourself. And then we also have Venus sextile Neptune. And this can be a really nice for creative ventures, projects, friendships, spiritual work, intuition. This can be really nice for romance. So this is a really nice day. This could bring in like really nice opportunities. And then on the 28th, Venus is going to form a trine to Pluto. And this could be very transformational. This can have to do with your career. This can have to do with your mindset in some way, like you literally, your mindset or how you are expressing yourself, literally transforming in some way, or something really big happening at work that is, completely changing your direction with your career. This can also have to do with a relationship. There could be something, really big happening within a relationship. And then on the 29th, Venus is going to form a T square to the lunar nodes. And this is literally a fork in the road. This is literally where there's two paths and you need to make a choice. The south node is, the past and our comfort zone, and usually where there's something we need to release here and move away from so we can grow into our north node. And this has to do with, your money or your values or even intimacy. Like this could literally have to do with a relationship of some kind, but it's on a really deep level. If it's not affecting your finances, then it could be affecting how you are connecting emotionally and intimately within partnerships. That can also, be a thing with this energy. But yes, it could also have to do with your self-worth and, all those second house themes and topics, your money, your finances, your values, your self-worth. And then, that ninth house. And you may be having to compromise, or you may be having to let something go so that you can, grow in some way. Leo, April is a direction setting month. This month is about your future and your career, your direction, expansion, making big decisions and networking. This is the month where you decide, where your life is going. This is one of the most eventful months of the year. So I do hope this helps you navigate the energy for this month. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. If you enjoyed this video and you enjoy my content and you want to see more from me, and also if you want to book a pre-recorded reading with me, I structure my videos exactly how I structure my YouTube videos, only the chart is yours instead of a lunation chart or a monthly chart. And I walk you through how I am interpreting the energies and putting the pieces together. And so not only is it a reading, but it is a learning and teaching tool. And so if you want to book your reading, I will have all the information in the description below, as well as I am in the beginning phase of starting the cosmic community on Patreon. I am rebuilding my presence on social media. And so if you are interested in exclusive content, building a community, I also have bonus episodes to my podcast on there, which Adina's Diary is also on YouTube. You can check it out. And this, yes, I do talk about astrology, but this is also where I am talking about recovering from narcissistic abuse, toxic relationships. I'm telling my experience and my story on the podcast and creating a space for others who have gone through or going through the same. So I have a lot of that content on Patreon as well. And that's kind of where I'm building the community because it's a safer space. So if you're, navigating anything along those lines, or if that kind of resonates with you, then go check out the podcast. And you can also, join me on Patreon and let's build the community and support one another. Because if you have gone through anything like that, you know that it's kind of a lonely, isolating experience. But I will have all the information in the description below. You can listen to the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music. And and so don't forget to subscribe and like this video. And Leo, I hope you have a fabulous month and I will connect with you in the next one.